that to be the message. What I'm saying is that if people are ingesting alcohol chronically, even if it's not every night, there are well-recognized changes in neural circuits. There are well-recognized changes in neurochemistry within the brain, and there are well-recognized changes in the brain-to-body stress system that generally point in three directions. Increased stress when people are not drinking, diminished mood and feelings of well-being when people are not drinking, and, as you'll soon learn, changes in the neural circuitry that cause people to want to drink even more in order to get just back to baseline, or the place that they were in terms of their stress modulation and in terms of their feelings of mood before they ever started drinking in the first place. So again, I don't want to demonize alcohol, but I do want to emphasize that there are long-term plastic changes, meaning changes in neural circuitry and hormone circuitry, that across a period of several months, and certainly across a period of years of the sorts of drinking patterns I described, which I think for most people are going to sound like pretty typical, right? I mean, nothing that I described so far was about drinking a case a night or about binging on alcohol in the ways that we often hear about it in the news. These are pretty common patterns of alcohol consumption. I mean, all you have to do is board a transatlantic flight or actually go to an airport on a Sunday afternoon in a sunny area of the US, and people are having 3, 4, 5, 6 beers, et cetera. Again, personal choice is personal choice. I'm not telling you what to do, but it's very clear that those sorts of drinking patterns are changing neural circuitry and they're changing hormone circuitry. And I'd love to be able to tell you that they're changing them for the better, but they simply are not. They're actually changing them for the worse. And worse is defined as making people less resilient to stress, higher levels of baseline stress, and lower mood overall. Now let's take a step back.
chronic traumatic encephalopathy is a progressive neurodegeneration. The most common neurodegeneration that we know about is Alzheimer's disease, but CTE is similar. But in this case, in the case of CTE, it's triggered by repetitive head trauma. And we think that after sufficient amounts of head trauma, this disease starts to develop in your brain and then becomes a progressive, widespread brain disease as time goes on. So CTE is defined neuropathologically. You can't even make the diagnosis without a neuropathological examination of the brain tissue. And what we look for under the microscope is the deposition of an abnormal tau protein that clusters around blood vessels in the brain. And that's a very distinct lesion. It's a specific lesion for CTE. There's no other disease that causes those changes in tau protein. And that's how we make the distinctive diagnosis. The symptoms of CTE can be variable, but oftentimes it's a personality shift, a behavioral change, maybe mood changes like depression. There are things like aggression and violent behaviors, impulsivity, a short fuse. Another common set of symptoms is memory loss and difficulty planning and organizing and difficulty with attention. What we see are just isolated lesions, very tiny lesions in the cortex of the brain or in the gray matter of the brain. They